Colossi, that he's gone all Vikings. But what he's missing right now are the medevacs. Where are the medevacs? So that's another big thing. SCVs, medevacs, at least in terms of this game. So two huge things that could have easily won this game. Because remember, Sausage fast expanded. This should have been a joke. And this army rallying is kind of sloppy. Could have gone through his SCVs. And this Viking as well is just going to get taken out. So we'll get, and here's another one, don't lose it. See, those two Vikings would really be helpful. And at this point, Terran should be coming in with his Vikings and just sniping Colossi, because these Vikings' range is absolutely ridiculous. What is it? I don't even know. 9. I think Colossi have a range of 7 or something now, but 9, that's gigantic. So when Protoss is coming at you with this huge Colossi ball and you're Terran, you have to say to yourself, you know, hey, I should really be focusing on taking out the Colossi, even though I can't engage because I don't have medevacs. I should be trying to snipe these out. And what will end up happening is he'll have to micro the Colossi away, he'll have to move back, and it'll be a whole micro dance until you can get enough units out from your 5 barracks and starport, which should be pumping out medevacs. And you'll see he starts to do that a little bit here, but he's not A-moving. So one other thing, A-moving. A lot of bronze and silver players will not A-move and they'll lose their whole armies to nothing. So make sure when you're moving around the map, A-move. Even if you're right next to him, A-move. And that way you won't have a situation where you're not fully engaging. And here we go. We've got some... the Colossi are all gone from the Vikings. The Vikings aren't doing anything anymore though, except getting hit. I wouldn't have put these down. Would have let them just move in. I think it's a bad idea to lose all those because inevitably more Colossi are going to be made. So you're going to need them regardless. And you're not going to win this fight. So we have stemmed in a little bit too early to stem in there. I don't know why. But a nice attack from Protoss. He completely obliterated the Terran army, which is nice. But still, we take a look at the SCV count real quick. 50 versus 53. I mean, we're 15 minutes into the game. This is a point where you want to have, 70 SCVs pumping out from, a bunch of barracks. And here we go. See, this is good. He's got all these barracks and unit producing structures. But the problem is he doesn't have the economy. On 50 SCVs, you can absolutely not support this. And we see our macros slipping with Protoss, but he too is getting all these gateways. He has the right idea. I mean, he's on what, 2 base right now, and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 gates and a robotics. Yeah, that's reasonable for 2 base with more SCVs. But if Protoss would have just expanded a little bit earlier, it would have been much more beneficial for him. Because, and you'll see it coming down now, 15-minute expand is kind of bad. But if he would have expanded after he won that first engagement, Protoss would have easily won this. So we've got these key situations where we have some major advantages for one of the 2 players, but they're not capitalizing on them, and because of that, the game is shifting back and forth. While it makes for a good game, it doesn't make for perfect play. So in the future, it would be awesome if these guys focused more on their pro production and also on their utilization of money, as we see by our Protoss here, who has 1,800 minerals. Which could play a key role, we'll see. Because although he's not spending his money in the bank with Warp in is kind of ridiculous. But we'll see how that plays out. Still, only 60 SCVs. We've got oversaturation here, basically no saturation there, pretty good saturation here. But our mineral maximization is not at its high point in this point in time, just because of how the probes are distributed, or SCVs rather. But it's nice to see that he has 60, so he's going to pull ahead economically. Protoss not using Chrono Boost, so make sure to keep using that, guys. Obviously it's really important, but some people just don't do it. But it makes for pretty nice armies if you use it consistently. And I'm sure all of you have seen that in higher level play. So here we go, we've got Terran moving in. Stim on one of his Marauders, that's pretty good, I like that, but he should stop his full army and just stim this in. But he's going to get caught off guard here because he's all clumped up and Protoss has a superior army. Let's check that actually. Oh no, he doesn't. Wow, there's more army supply for Terran. But his composition is kind of bad because he doesn't have those medivacs. I mean, this whole game he hasn't had medevacs. He only has Vikings, and not having medevacs is death for Terran. So, among the many other things going on here, appropriate unit composition is huge. So, take-homes definitely for right now. We've got SCV production. We've got macro off of the buildings, where we see a great example of building macro here, where he has enough unit producing structures to support his economy, but unfortunately he doesn't have the other half of macro, which is the money gathering population, to be able to support those structures. So obviously that's a problem. And on Protoss' side, yeah, we have the unit producing structures, but we have way too much money, and we're not spending our money effectively. So we've actually got a real example of both sides of macro that are imperfect, that result in a somewhat equal game. And granted, if both of these players had the appropriate macro with the right economic support in addition to the unit producing structures, it'll be a much higher level of play. So that is absolutely huge. So we've got the macro, unit compositions, SCVs, all really important that we can see pretty clearly from this game. And so I'm just going to fast forward a little bit, guys. Not really much going on right now. Just kind of building up the armies. Alright, here we go. Should have another engagement here. This is going to hurt. He should always engage with these beforehand. We have this kind of natural barricade, or natural barrier rather, and so if he takes these Vikings and tries to snipe the Colossi even before the fight starts, the odds of him winning the engagement will be much higher. Also, we've got some High Templars, so we don't want to be clumping up here, but of course he can't see that, and he also doesn't have any ghosts. So again, that unit composition factor playing a role, and no medevacs makes this army melt to High Templar. So we'll take a look at that once this engagement actually starts. He's got them all hotkeyed on one hotkey. That's so bad. Really quick before this starts, guys. I know I've been focusing a lot on the Terran, but this goes for Colossi as well. When you have all these Vikings, you need to hotkey them on a separate hotkey. The same goes with medevacs, because what happens is, if you don't, your army moves as one clump, instead of the Vikings taking shots at the Colossi as they chase you, which can actually kill a couple, because this many Vikings can take out this army, which only leaves the High Templar. And if you did do this with the medevacs as well, your units would get healed as they move back, which is also awesome. But of course, that's not going to be the case in this fight. And you can see Terran wisely running away. But I don't know why he's got his units frozen. 1 EMP, a little bit of miscontrol. Stim's going to hurt him. And with no medevacs and his Vikings away, this is just going to hurt. Yeah, this engagement looks like Terran's in big trouble. He's got his Archon. Wise choice. After you run out of storms, Archon Morph. Very good idea. And he's focusing down the planetary. I don't know why. He's got so many SCVs there for infinite repair. It's not really going to work out for him. But nonetheless, Protoss in a commanding position right now. And you can see his minerals are through the roof, so he's going to be able to warp in like crazy off his surplus of minerals and just finish off the game. So altogether, not too bad from either player. We've got some cool stuff going on from both these Diamond players, but unfortunately, those few key mistakes can really hamper your play. And so this is even more dramatic at lower levels. And so eventually I'm going to get some really, really low level play for you guys, just so you can see just how much of a difference it makes. But the reason this game is so good for this is because this is not semi-high level. If you consider high level the level of a pro, semi-high level being top masters, and like, you know, high level being well, lower than semi-high level being like, you know, a masters player. This would be kind of like medium level as a diamond. And the thing is, you see these things happen over and over again, and the way to get better is obviously to, you know, fix these things, but it's so obvious that this is actually happening, and that's what's great about a, you know, lower level game, is that these things are so apparent. And if I had some bronze replays, I could show you that even more so. but this game was a perfect example of that. So excellent look at... oh, I'm glad it's coming through correctly. Yeah, but this was an excellent view of just how much this stuff actually shows up. So, I hope you guys enjoyed Game 1. I think we will go right into Game 2. I've got a little bit more time. So, Game 2, I'm going to take a look at an actual bronze player. Well, actually, he says he's silver. I don't know if that's true. Or so not says he says he's platinum. I don't know if that's true, but we'll see. Sorry guys, I had to make sure my game screen was actually in the game. Make sure that's working and everything. But yeah, so our Zerg player here, and if you don't know, I play Zerg, so this is going to be a much higher level Zerg commentary rather than just a garbage commentary versus Terran versus Protoss. But so he says he's platinum. I think he's actually currently ranked as bronze, but he's playing higher level people because he plays sporadically. He's also a current stream watcher, so check that out. And here we have Balky up top. He's a Masters player, so this is going to be a pretty interesting game as far as that's concerned, because it's a fairly long game between two very different skill level people, but the take-homes from this game are very similar to the last game, and they're much more apparent. It's pretty impressive how apparent they actually are, and how ridiculous it is, and how much they show up. It's unreal. So we'll see that in just a moment. Terran going for a pretty typical barracks refinery. It's going to be Reactor Hellion. Speaking in Japanese, I don't know if that actually says anything or if that's actually real. But pretty standard play, except for the engineering bay delaying the hatchery, which is good. So reactor almost up. Standard command center, pretty normal from Terran. Zerg deciding just to put the expand up. Now, Zerg is so far behind right now. We can see Terran's already pulling ahead. So even at the start of the game, you can be this far behind, where Zerg was forced to make a bunch of Zerglings, and now only has 18 drones against Terran's 19. Of course, this is going to happen early game regardless, but you'll see this disparity widen as the game goes on. So we've got some Reactor Hellions going. Another factory. This was kind of weird, that factory coming that early, but it looks like Terran's going for mech. Which would make more sense, because usually the barracks go down by now. The command center almost done. Another gas going up. And Zerg deciding to go for a bunch more overlords. He didn't actually need 3. That's kind of a waste, but whatever. Very early layer tech. And no drone production. He's just deciding, I'll just go for double upgrades. That'll be fine. I don't need drones. I can go double upgrades and beat you. And so we'll see. Maybe it will work, maybe it won't. I don't know. Find out. Good mule usage by our Masters player here. You can see that it's much more solid. He has a much better idea of what he's doing. You can see he's going for this Blue Flame Hellion sort of build. His expansion going to be in place shortly. Whereas our Zerg has decided to haphazardly build another hatchery, not build any drones, go double evolution chamber. Who knows, it might work. We'll see. But this is the disparities are starting to come out. You know, you guys who are lower level might be watching these games and be like, well, I'm better than these guys who are playing, and you don't realize it until you actually, really look at yourself, how good or bad your play actually is in comparison to players of your same skill. So here we go. These 4 roaches are nice. I like it. 4 roaches is all you need to defend the early Hellions. But I would have liked to see a spine crawler, and the reason I say that is not so much to defend, not so much because he actually needs the firepower against the Hellions, but so it acts as a buffer as they try to run around and go in the base to do some damage. And these roaches actually, a couple of them could be trying to block the ramp, because that could be a pretty big deal, but we'll see. Lots of Hellions. So real quick, at this early scenario, we've got this command center coming out way too late. I would have liked to see it land earlier, because Zerg doesn't really have anything to come attack them. You see Blue Flame's almost done, which is going to make for an excellent timing for these Hellions. But Zerg right now, look at Zerg. he has no idea what's going on. He has 5 overlords.